I was talking earlier about um, being oneself, being myself, being yourself, and how. What does that mean? What does it mean, being yourself? Um, and that in that, if we can be ourselves, truly ourselves, well then, there's a total freedom in that. So it brings up a nice question, like what you might like to ask yourself, like what does it mean to you, being yourself? And I was asking myself the question that came up in one of the books, like what does it mean to me, and I had to try to answer it in that way. So it is a question that wasn't so easy to answer in a way. Obviously, you can look at it on the basis of what makes me feel comfortable. And life on earth and all the things that go with it has a habit of making us feel uncomfortable in lots of situations. All sorts of things around duty and responsibilities and having to have money and so on. All the things that perhaps and certainly maybe I shouldn't say all the things, but a lot of things that we don't like having to do. And we look at it, what would we really like to do or to be? How would we really like to live our lives? And then can we do that in the context of living in society? We may like to go off and live in a total isolation, although I suspect that most of us wouldn't like to do that. And then we could say maybe I'm being truly myself if I do that, if I go off and live by myself and be totally self-sufficient and don't have to kowtow to anybody, don't have to do anything that I don't want to do, don't have to see people that I don't want to see, etc. But assuming that that isn't true for most of us, that we want to live in society, we want to be with people, we want to have friends, we like to socialise, and so on. Then how can we be truly comfortable with ourselves in those sort of situations? One of them obviously is, for instance, work, the work that we do, and we need to work presumably in order to get money and to be able to support those who are dependent on us, if there are, or to support ourselves in any case. So that that's often, of course, something that then we feel that we can't be truly ourselves in that sort of situation because we have to do things that we don't particularly like doing, and perhaps associate with people that we would prefer not to be association with. So it's a question that brings up all sorts of different angles, but I think it's one that's well worth looking at. For myself, in trying to answer the question, I found that being free from conditioning was a great thing, in the sense of that I wasn't stuck with any sort of rigid way of thinking. and recognizing that the best way, and perhaps indeed the only way, to be free in our physical world is to be free in the way we think. If we're free in our thoughts, then nobody can control us. We may go along with being controlled because we're in particular situations that we can't get out of, but at the same time, if we have that freedom in our thinking, we know what we're doing. We can fall back on that. So then, in recognizing and accepting that, for me, I can be myself in the way that I think, and that I don't have to take on anybody else's views of life or the way to be, anything like that. That I can relax into that sort of feeling, and that I have that sort of enjoyment in life because of that. Now, it does bring up, of course, the whole thing then of, say, if I have particular beliefs, as I do, does that not create a restriction on my freedom? So the sort of beliefs that I have, of course, are to do with the whole thing about the continuity of life, continuing adventure of life, how we if you like, influence the way of that adventure by the mindsets that we carry with us, being open-minded then in that way. The whole thing about being part of the whole divine essence, if you like, that sort of everlasting light that we talked about in the last session. All of that makes complete sense to me. But then so that I am then, and this is a big thing in the whole thing of Kay's teaching, if you like, the thing about I am. Just I am now as I am in that sense, and that, but I'm continuing in that way, but I'm open. I'm open then to other things coming in, to the adventure of life, and that there can be many surprises and so on, but that there will be joyful surprises. This is then, I suppose, if you look at it that way, the two simple words, I am, just I am, means a lot, you see, that it's just, I am as I am, and allowing that for everybody else, that they are as they are, so that I don't impinge on their boundaries, if you like, but also that I don't allow that to happen for me. Even though my freedom may be restricted in some ways that I don't like for the present, but yet that I have this overall thing, this overall way of being in myself, that I'm free. So I don't know whether that makes sense to you, but I'm musing on it, and obviously wanting for everybody, for myself, for everybody, how we could find that way of being truly and totally ourselves, and then perhaps finding more and more enjoyment in life. So, thank you.